He had it all: wealth, power, and prestige. But when life stripped everything away, 75-year-old Walter was left with nothing but silence and regret. Just when it seemed like the end, a simple fall on an icy sidewalk triggered a journey no one saw coming. This is not just a story about loss, it's about rediscovery, unexpected second chances, and the kind of success that money can't buy. Watch until the end, and you may just find a piece of your own story in Walter's. He sat on the park bench every morning, quietly watching the sunrise. To most people he looked like just another old man, weathered by time and forgotten by the pace of the world. But inside there was a story burning, one full of failure, regret, pain, and finally, discovery. His name was Walter Brooks. And at 75, after losing everything, he had finally learned the secret to success. Walter hadn't always been alone. He once had a wife, 2 kids, a house in the suburbs, and a job at one of the biggest advertising firms in New York. Back in the 80s he was a force in the industry, sharp, aggressive, always chasing the next big win. He was the kind of man people looked at and said, "That guy? He's going places." And he did go places. Promotions, bonuses, trips to Europe for conferences, speeches at Ivy League schools. Walter became a name. But as he climbed the ladder, something else was falling apart. His home. He missed birthdays. He missed family dinners. He missed watching his son play baseball and his daughter sing at her school recital. When his wife asked for more of his time, he said, "I'm doing this for us." When she begged him to slow down, he replied, "Just a few more years." Kindly subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos and give this video a thumbs up. Those few years turned into decades. By the time he hit his 60s, Walter was alone. His wife had left. His kids rarely returned his calls. And just when he thought it couldn't get worse, the company he had helped build downsized, cutting him loose. With no friends left in the game and no family at home, Walter spiraled into bitterness. He moved into a small apartment downtown, living off what savings he had. He grew older, angrier, and invisible. He tried reconnecting with his kids, but they had moved on, built lives of their own without him. His son answered with short messages. His daughter didn't reply at all. He couldn't blame them. One winter morning, after a particularly brutal storm, Walter slipped on the sidewalk outside a grocery store. He woke up in a hospital with a fractured hip. There was no one to call. No emergency contact. Just a social worker and a nurse who checked in once a day. Lying there, in pain, humiliated, and alone, Walter had a realization. Not a soft whisper of thought but a scream from deep inside. He had built a life for applause, not for meaning. That day he made a decision. If he was still breathing, he wasn't finished. He got out of the hospital weeks later with a cane and a limp, but also with a plan. Walter started volunteering at a community center 3 blocks from his apartment. Not because he wanted to be noble, but because it was warm and he was tired of sitting in silence. At first he hated it. The noise, the kids, the chaos. But slowly something began to shift. A boy named Marcus, no older than 10, started sitting beside him during the reading hour. Then a teenager named Julia asked if he could help her with her resume. People started calling him Mr. Walter. They asked him for advice. They listened. One afternoon, while helping a young man named Tyrell prepare for a job interview, Walter found himself saying something that stopped him cold. "It's not just about sounding confident," he said. "It's about believing you have something to offer." The words echoed back at him. That night, Walter stared at his reflection in the mirror. For the first time in years, he didn't hate the man looking back. Months passed. Walter became a regular at the center. He taught teens how to speak with confidence, how to write professionally, how to handle pressure. He wasn't lecturing. He was sharing hard-earned wisdom, born from pain and lost time. People started telling him, "You should write a book." He laughed it off at first, but one rainy afternoon he sat at his small desk and began typing. Not a memoir, not a how-to guide, just a story, but his story, the mistakes, the glory, the fall, the rediscovery. The writing was raw. Honest. Sometimes too honest, but it poured out of him like a dam had broken. He wrote for weeks. Then months. And finally, a year later, at age 74, Walter self-published a book titled, "The Road I Should Have Taken." He didn't expect much. Maybe a few people from the center would read it. But a local teacher read the book and shared it on social media. Then a journalist picked it up. Within weeks, Walter was being invited to speak at schools, libraries, and even a TEDx event. He never stood on a big stage again like he had in his corporate days, but this time the applause felt different. It wasn't for his sharp mind or clever campaigns. It was for his honesty, his pain, his truth. People came up to him after talks crying, saying, "That's my story too. A single mother said she had been working 2 jobs and felt like a failure until she heard his speech. A young man said he was chasing success for the wrong reasons, and Walter's story helped him rethink everything. Walter kept speaking. He kept writing. And more importantly, he kept showing up at the community center, even as his schedule got busy. Because he knew now, success isn't about what you build outside. It's what you build inside. He often said to people, "I spent 60 years chasing the wrong dream. But the last 15 have been the most successful years of my life." People would ask, "So what's the secret?" And he'd smile, not with arrogance, but with the gentle wisdom of someone who finally understood. "The secret to success is not never falling," he'd say. "It's learning why you fell, and deciding to stand up differently." At 75, Walter didn't have a fancy car, a penthouse apartment, or millions in the bank. But he had something he never had when he was younger: peace and purpose. One sunny morning, sitting on that same park bench where he once went to escape the world, Walter smiled as a group of kids from the community center waved to him on their way to school. He waved back, heart full, soul quiet. The world hadn't changed. But he had. And that was the secret.